Hey guys, welcome back to Gorge River. So in this video I'm going to get Mum and Dad to take you guys for a quick walk through our home here. Just for those who don't know, we live as sustainably as possible out here on the South Island's west coast, New Zealand. We grow a big vegetable garden, we catch lots of fish, we shoot some deer, and in general we just try and live in a way that uses up less resources in the world than the way that a lot of other people live. You probably understand what I'm saying. So let's get straight into it. We're going to walk up the back path and let's go meet Dad. This is my home at Gorge River.
If you like, I can just show you around the house. So we'll go and have a bit of a quick look around. Okay, there's the house there. It's an old house, first built in 1968. So it's actually been here for, what does that make it? 50 years. This house has been here. Here's the gate. The reason why we've got a gate and a sort of a fence here is to keep the deer out, because the red deer, they graze all around, they live everywhere around here. There's thousands of deer around here, and to have a garden you actually have to fence them out. That way I don't have to shoot them. I've never shot a deer. This gate here just shuts itself like that. Built the gate about 20 years ago because the deer numbers started to build up for various reasons. And I made this as a Christmas present for Christan and Robin, so I wouldn't have to shoot their pet deer, because there was a deer that it would be here in the daytime. It was starting to eat all the garden. And this is the garden area here, where Mum and I we grow the vegetables and all that. This is all of our vegetables still that came up from last summer, so right through into the spring the garden survives, and pretty soon we'll be replanting the whole area. I've put in some beans over there already, which are coming up. I do most of my greenstone carving out here, so I'll show you my workshop. I have two workbenches here. Here's one workbench which is more for polishing. There goes. That's a diamond polishing device, and I have just been polishing some whale's tails here. So that's a diamond sanding pad there. Here's the water here. See, the water comes through that pipe. There's a tuning fork. This will be going to a museum, a collector in America. Person who visited a couple of years ago and asked me to make these chimes for him. There's a dolphin that I'm making. You normally need to wet it. To see the colour, you wet it, otherwise it looks white. This is just a little baby one I'm making. Next thing I'll be drilling a hole there and then carving that out, and that'll be a chime. There's the woodshed where Mum collects most of the firewood. I help her get it off the beach, and we store it in that shed over there. We go through quite a lot of firewood. We do all of our cooking with firewood, and heat the hot water as well for the bathroom and kitchen. My daughter Robin built us a new front door, which we just set up. Here's the workbench. This is where I do most of my tacking up for cleaning up the possum skins. So I've got these boards here, putting the skins on. And this is our inverter. This is the voltage regulator from the solar panels, which provides our electrical power. Here's the inverter, which turns it into 240 power, so we can run 240 volt motors and have an internet satellite broadband. This is where Mum does her sewing up the possum fur. Penguin painting for my daughter's 21st birthday, Robin's 21st. Here's another painting I'm doing for a gallery in Southland. This is Christan's room. We built this room here for Christan to have, and Robin stays here and Grandma stays here, or anyone, my mum and dad would stay here when they were alive. So this is our family guest room. So in here, turn on the light, got hot and cold water here, comes out of the tap. We've got another tap here for cleaning, washing, and then we have the shower here, hot and cold shower, and we also have a flush toilet as well. So we've got the modern luxuries of any normal home anywhere in the world. So even though we're away in the middle of nowhere, we're actually comfortable having that. You don't have to go outside. And there's the back door out into the wilderness. This is our table, which I made. This is our main dining area here. I made this table out of, it was an old double bed. That was the head of the bed, and that was the bottom end of the bed, and I joined them together. This is a painting of the coastline from up on a slip just south of here. This is a broad view across. This is where we are right here in that hut there. That's the airstrip. That's the Gorge Islands, and that's the steeples.
We do all our cooking on the stove here. There is a wetback inside here, which heats the hot water. And hot water cupboard. The hot water system has been here since Robert first came, way back in the 80s. And it's also really handy for getting your washing dry and hanging towels overnight. And the wood box, we get firewood off the beach. There's any amount of wood, all you have to do is go and get it. That's the only oven I have any sort of baking gets done in there. We have hot and cold running water. The water comes off the hill from a spring-fed creek and goes into a settling tank. It's about 500 metres away from here. So when it rains a lot, then the intake will be either blocked up or washed out of the creek altogether. And you have to go for a bit of a walk to get it going again. Before Christan was 3, we just had water off the roof, which was great. It rains a lot on the west coast, but you don't really expect a drought. So anything more than about 2 weeks of dry weather actually constitutes a drought where we live. The storage wasn't very big because you never really needed it a lot, except when you did. By the time we had 2 babies, sometimes if you got a nice patch of weather for 3 or 4 weeks, you'd be carting 8 buckets of water up from the river every day just to flush the toilet and wash nappies and so forth. And then a dairy farmer came and stayed. He was going to stay in the hut next door, but it was already full of hunters, so he stayed in here with his son for a few days, and it just happened to be at a time when we had no water, and we were getting it from the tank next door or carrying it up from the river. So they asked if there was anything they could do to help, and I asked them maybe to carry some water. They said, "You can do better than that. I've got 5 dairy farms. I've got kilometres of pipe on my farms." And so he came back a couple of years later with 600 metres of water pipe for us. Unfortunately, only 400 of it got here. The other 200 ended up burning in the helicopter hangar. And it was the first time that we actually went, that particularly Robert, actually went into a shop and paid the money and asked for some water pipe. And it arrived here and we put the whole system together. And since having water, that was the most amazing thing. It meant that we had as much hot water as we could heat. Before that, there was always a bit there, but you had to be really careful about not using too much. And it was actually far more amazing than when we got electricity later on. New Zealand's having a rat plague just at the moment, and even in the best time we always have plenty of rats and mice living in the surrounding bush and in the garden and so forth. And they love coming in, living in a nice warm house like we do. So all our cupboards need to be mouse proof. All the food is put away in there at all times. Doors shut, always. When Christan was a teenager, we got a freezer for a while, which lasted about 10 years and was powered by the solar panel, although we had a windmill at the time as well. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it didn't really work anymore, so we've given up on that. And apart from that, we've only ever refrigerated things just by putting them out the back in the safe, which works really well in the winter time. Even in not so cold weather, if you can keep meat in a pot for a week or so if you just boil it for a couple of minutes every day. It sterilises it, keep the lid on. So if you've got a lot of venison, you can make a stew and put it in the pot and just bring it to the boil, but rather than cooking it, you put it away for a couple of days and then you bring it back out and cook it again just for a few minutes and put it away for a couple of days. So by the time you actually get to eat it, when you're finished eating all the steak and the good parts, it's just about ready to go. We don't need to refrigerate things much anyway. We can keep fish for 2 or 3 days just out the back in the cold. Most things just come either straight from the garden, any compost goes straight back out again. In the middle of summer, things will go off maybe by the second day, so then you've got to be a bit more careful. Most of the time it's not really a problem.
To me, the most important part of having a home is a stove and a hot water cylinder. If you got that, it means you've got the basis of a house. Up in the ceiling here is where I'm drying possum. The skins that I've tacked out, they dry up here. You leave them up here for about 3 or 4 days to dry out. The last fine spell, I spent 4 days possuming up a ridge, and then went down to Ryan's Creek, did one night down there. Then I spent 3 days up the river here possuming, so I've been pretty busy possuming just lately. This is where I do my painting here. This is where my main office, I sit here. This is where I paint. Pull this up to here, and I have my brushes here and there, and my paints are here. So I'll just have my paint set up here, and I do my painting here. My main source of income has been my painting. I've probably made more income off my painting than any other income we've had. Followed by jade carvings, followed by possuming. They're probably all about equal now. This is our little office here, so if I want to check the weather, I can turn on the computer. I can get Gorge River Hut, West Coast. That information there can tell me whether I can go possuming or whether an aeroplane can land here, if it's going to be too windy for somebody to fly here, or whether people are going to be able to tramp here, whether they'll get washed away down the river or whether they'll actually get here. So that determines the movements around here, or whether I'm going to be just confined to the hut, or whether I can go possuming, or whether I can go for a dive, or put the net, go fishing, or go and get some shellfish or whatever. So it's very helpful. Before that, I used to just use the radio, which is over where I do my painting. I listen to the radio a lot. This is Mum and my room. We've got a beautiful view out. Couldn't do better as far as views and that type of thing. The sun comes in, not first thing in the morning, but during the day. And then this is Robin's room, which is also a storage room now, and it looks out into the jungle. Yeah.
So I hope you really enjoyed seeing my home. This is where I grew up, and this was my backyard. Now, if you do want to know more about our lifestyle here, I've got a bunch of other videos on this channel, so check them out. And otherwise, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.